All right, so now we're going to draw the structure for H2CO. All right, so again, C for carbon, C for center. If you have carbon, that's going to go in the center. Now, if you have something other than carbon, lowest electronegativity, exclude hydrogen. So furthest to the left on the periodic table or closest to the metals outside of hydrogen. Hydrogen is never in the center. So again, I have H2CO. So I draw carbon, then I have H for hydrogen, and O for oxygen. So I've used all my elements. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my bonds. So I'm going to bond hydrogen to carbon, bond hydrogen to carbon, and I'm going to bond oxygen to carbon. Now, when I look at this, there are some issues. So I look at hydrogen to carbon, and I know that hydrogen can only make one bond. So hydrogen to carbon, perfectly fine. Everything is good there. But now I'm looking at my carbon and my oxygen. So we know that oxygen is in group in group 6A. So elements in group 6A need to make two bonds to get their octet. Oxygen only has one bond. So I need to find out where the second bond is going to go. So we check our other elements. So I look at carbon, and I know that carbon needs to make 4 bonds to get its octet. I count the bonds on carbon, 1, 2, 3. So carbon is missing a bond as well. So because oxygen and carbon are both missing a bond that they need, I'm going to bond them together a second time. So I bond these atoms together a second time. Now when I check, I'm going to make sure every atom has the amount of bonds they need. So we know hydrogen can only make one bond. So our hydrogens both have made one bond, they're good to go. They're not doing anything else. Then I look at oxygen. I know that oxygen's in group 6A, so it needs to make 2 bonds. I look at oxygen, I have 1, 2 bonds made. Oxygen's good to go. Lastly, I'm going to look at carbon. Carbon needs to have 4 bonds because it's in group 4A. I count 1, 2, 3, 4 bonds made. Carbon is happy. So now, next step, I check and make sure everyone has their number of valence electrons. So hydrogen's in group 1A. I need to only have 1 valence electron attached to hydrogen. 1 valence electron, 1 valence electron. Our hydrogens have met their requirement. Then next, I'm going to look at carbon. Carbon's supposed to have 4 valence electrons. When I look at carbon, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 valence electrons on my carbon. My carbon is happy, has its bonds, has its number of valence electrons. Lastly, we look at oxygen. Now, oxygen's in group 6A. So being in group 6A, oxygen should have 6 valence electrons. But right now, oxygen only has 1, 2 valence electrons. So I need to add valence electrons until my oxygen has 6. So I add 4 more. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I now have my molecule for H2CO. Everybody has their valence electrons. Everybody has their bonds. Your compound is there.